Hey guys, welcome back to the Fryday Podcast. I'm your favorite host, Big J.
I'm RJ.
And today we've got a very special guest.
Very special.
So we've got the local MP from my area, Leicester East, Shivani Raja.
Hi.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Appreciate you coming on.
No, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Before we start, so basically what happened is we were on the way to do a podcast, right?
Yep.
And on that morning, my mother-in-law, she messaged me. She goes, why didn't you try to get Shivani Raja on? It'll be a good episode. I'm like, I've reached out to her once, and I don't like pestering people. Because that's one thing I hate, because I don't want people to turn around and think, this guy's pestering me, leave it. But we happened to see her on Merton Road.
I know, that was so shocking.
Popped my head out the window, and she's like, yeah, I'll reply tonight.
Yeah, that was actually the sweetest thing ever, actually.
He literally was like, stop the car.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
rolled down the window. And you
rolled down the window, and he's like, Shivani.
Yeah, that's what I felt like I've made it.
Big fans. But yeah,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank
really
you for
appreciate
taking
it.
time out. We'll get straight into it. So we had a gentleman called Dev Sharma, who's a member of Youth Parliament.
Yes.
And the first thing I asked him is, growing up, everyone always has a dream. I want to be a racing driver, footballer, makeup artist. I didn't ever see or hear any kids saying I want to be a politician. So what made you pursue a career in politics?
So I don't know if you know, but my journey into politics is incredibly unique.
Okay.
And my story, I wouldn't kind of say that should be an example of how other people should go into politics, because it was just incredibly unique.
Okay.
I have grown up in Leicester and lived here my entire life. And over the years, I've kind of always seen the kind of frustrations and the little niggles that we have in the city. But again, like we can't do anything about it. We just have to get it. We have a moan.
We don't have power.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just
we
literally moan
just-
about it, and that's it.
Yeah,
Deal
we just
with
moan
it.
about it and then it's,
Move on.
Yes. But a couple of years ago, I got married, and my husband and his brother-in-law have a business in Leicester, and they're into property and construction. Now, during a couple of years before I got married, I was actually living in London because I couldn't find a job here, like many people from my generation.
And what were you doing, if you don't mind me asking?
I studied cosmetic science, so I was making makeup for a living,
Oh, wow.
which is like every girl's dream. So I was working, my last job was at the Body Shop, the head office, which is down in London.
Okay.
And then COVID happened, and then the whole world basically shut down.
Working from home and all that stuff.
Nobody knew what was happening. My lease in London was up for renewal, so I thought, great, this is a good opportunity for me to move back home, like save some money on rent, whilst everyone's working from home. And then during that time where I was supposed to be moving back for about 6 months, that's when I met my husband, now husband, and yeah, the rest is history to us. I never went back to London. So then after I got married, the world started opening up, and my employers wanted me to kind of come to the office 4 days a week.
Okay.
And that was a little bit much for me, to be honest, because like just the traveling it was a bit of a nightmare. And then
So you were living in Leicester, but they wanted to travel to London 4 days
And they
a
were
week.
doing 4 days a week.
I was married as well, so I thought, well, I didn't really get married to be in a long distance relationship, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so it just wasn't really worth my while at that point in life.
Makes sense.
So
100%.
I decided to quit Body Shop, and my husband said, you can join, come and help out
Family business.
in the business. So I did that, and then as I was kind of getting involved, and because we're a relatively small business, so you have to wear many hats. And there was just so many frustrations and stuff like that. It's just so hard to do anything.
To maneuver around.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's just like so much burdensome regulation. You try and do something, but oh wait, you can't do it.
You
because
can't
of
do
this.
that,
You
yeah.
can't. There's so much red tape, and then my husband was always kind of associated with the local Conservative Party because obviously they were in government at that time. From a kind of a business point of view, but also like a networking point of view to try and kind of help address some of the concerns that
The local community have, yeah.
So I was always his like plus one at these events kind of thing.
Wait, let me just stop you there, because now I've seen your lot's pictures. It seems like he's the plus one.
Yeah.
It's so true. Every year there's party conference.
Yeah.
So all of the major political parties hold an annual convention.
Yeah.
So I went to my very first one October 2023. And in order to come to conference, you need to be a member. So my husband signed me up to become a party member. So I went to conference, and honestly, I was just there for the food because it was the most boring. It was the most boring thing ever.
And it wasn't part of the plan at that time.
Yeah.
No, nothing. No, this was nothing.
This was just a +1.
Yeah, it was
That's
just a
it.
+1. Yeah.
Sign up
Oh
for
wow.
the food.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Why not?
exactly,
That's
just
it.
go.
It's
And
a
I
party.
thought-
Come on.
Yeah, it's like 4 days in Manchester. Like that sounds.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
it was raining throughout, but anyway. And even then, I wasn't. I would say I was a little bit engaged. So I'd go to some of the top fringe events that they had around property and about business. But I wasn't really never at that point in time was I thinking, oh, that could, I'd like to be that one day, or I'd like to be sitting on that. Because I've always been someone who's I'm such an introvert. I hate being the center of attention. I hate public speaking. I'm just not the typical candidate. Or anything. So anyway, fast forward then, I was kind of responsible for growing our family business.
Yeah.
So I started kind of researching different networking opportunities and organizations. So my husband actually, our business is, we were Young Entrepreneurs of the Year 2023. And this year,
Congratulations.
thank you. And this year we were Scale Up Entrepreneurs of the Year. So I was really kind of focused on building the brand and stuff like that. Now in January last year, at the end of January, I was again his +1 to a local fundraising event.
Yeah.
And on the way back, I just asked him, who is sitting in Leicester East, which is my home seat?
Yeah.
And he said, they haven't selected anyone yet. So I said, shall I apply? As a joke, as a complete joke, right? And we were just driving, and he just didn't laugh back.
So he was thinking in his head. He was calculating.
But
Is she serious?
Yeah, and he said, listen, it is a lifelong commitment.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. He said, I think you'd be great at it, but it's not easy. And,
Was it a big change from your previous job as well?
Massive.
Yeah. Is it very
I'll be honest, I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know because you don't really follow the labs and competitions.
No, you don't, right? So now I know it's a big change, but back then, and I still think about it now, would I have still taken the decision knowing all the things and all the kind of compromises and the sacrifices that politicians make now? So at the time, I didn't really think anything of it. And my husband said, take the weekend to really
think about
deep it, because it's not, it's
It's not a small choice.
Yeah. And to put yourself out there on a public platform and open to scrutiny, it's not everyone's cup of tea, right? Especially for someone like me.
you have to be thick-skinned and
You
stuff
have to be,
like that.
you have to be able to take it.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not. I don't have. I mean, I never used to be as resilient as I am now. You know, if I read a nasty comment online, I would cry. But so he said, think about it. And over the weekend, I was like, I've got nothing to lose, but potentially lots to gain. Because over that weekend, I was thinking, Leicester is such a great city, right?
Yeah.
But why are we not on par with Leeds, Manchester, Birmingham, Nottingham to some extent, Derby? I was in Derby a couple of months ago before this happened, and they've got massive infrastructure. They've got a really cool retail center. They've got all of the major kind of companies hiring there. The roads on you, it just feels fresh.
So what was the answer to the question? Why were we not there? On par to them cities.
So in my opinion, that's because of bad leadership. Who was advocating for Leicester?
Okay, yeah.
Who was there standing at the front shouting Leicester is the best, bring your investment here, bring your money here, bring your business here? Who was doing that? And I think about it, and I can't recall anybody doing that ever.
I can't.
No, I can't. Thinking back on it as well.
And I think that's where I feel Leicester has been left behind. And it's not even, if we look at major cities, look at places even Birstall, even Anstey, or, just places like Oadby as well, just places around Leicester City, which are in the county. You just have to cross Red Hill Roundabout, and you feel like you're in a different city, because the grass is maintained, the roads are better, buildings are maintained, and Leicester, in my opinion, has just been forgotten about because it's also I
and
think
it's changed a lot as well.
Yeah,
since
I
we were
mean,
younger.
even with the shopping trends, a lot of people used to go to the town centre. Now I see a lot of people going away from the town centre, going to like Foss Park. Instead. Yeah, because that's the main sort of
and
place
that's
to
like
go.
new and it's fresh.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like
It looks nice as
exciting.
well.
Yeah, it
aesthetically,
looks
innit?
nice,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of shops that are so vacant in the high cross.
Yes,
now,
I know. They're all closing because
Yeah, it's
business rates
crazy.
and everything is so expensive. But I also think it's maybe to do with us as well, like the people of Leicester. We've never been the kind of community to make a fuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we
because
haven't.
maybe because of our kind of immigration background, like we've all, when our parents came into the country, or at that time, we just had to get down and work.
Yeah, I think
we didn't have the privilege or the luxury to start complaining and demanding. We just had to we just were told you've got to make the best with what you've got.
Yeah, no.
And I think that's just less the attitude. I think this is not even like compared to that, but even like, streets that have potholes, there's a lot of people that don't know what to do, where to complain, who to
And
complain to.
and they just don't do anything about
Yeah,
it. Whereas if you go to some of the other parts of the country, one pothole is like one campaign where you'll get thousands of signatures. And
It is, and it's true. I've seen it as well.
My car was damaged by a car park. Do you remember?
really.
That was your
Yeah,
fault.
that
That was
it
his fault.
wasn't. No, my car was damaged by the car park.
Yeah,
You go
but
back
that's
to
a
the
private car park as
Yes,
well.
it is a private car park. It's in Leicester, but literally, go to the car park now. It's not. It's all fixed up.
Yeah, well, that you're not alone in that because we've got where the overgrown trees. So we've had constituents and residents write into us saying that the branches are like scratching my car every time I drive past.
Bloody hell.
So I think slowly now we're changing. We're becoming a lot more. I don't know what the word is. We're becoming a lot more kind of. We're empowered to actually stand up for what we believe in, and now probably we've got the luxury of being able to have that time to think, okay, what do I want for myself? Or because before, with our parents' struggle and everything, or especially for me, we just had to get down to business. There was literally no other time to do anything else. But now I feel like that the next generation that's up and coming. And also with advances in technology and stuff like that,
I think
it's
technology
much
is a
more
big
easier
part.
to contact and connect and to actually raise these issues.
Yeah, and to make the procedure to raise the issue a lot more
Yeah,
easier as
yeah.
well. I think because obviously, as you said, there's a lot of red tape and behind everything and things like that.
It's just hard. It's so hard to do anything. And then coming back to I decided to apply for there's certain approval. I won't get into it because it's boring, but not anyone can just come and stand up and say they want to become an MP. You've got to go through quite a rigorous
Application process.
application process. So I did all of that, and I managed to get accepted. Which again I was quite surprised about because it wasn't something that I was expecting.
So when was this, like May 24?
No, this was about March time.
Oh, March 24, okay.
Yeah, it moved quite quickly because obviously they were preparing for the general election last year, and they wanted to make sure that they had candidates ready. Yeah. And then I applied to Leicester East, and then for some internal politics, I was denied.
Okay.
Politics, right? Okay. I'll just leave it there. And so then I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And at the same time, that's when we were up for the Scale Up Entrepreneur of the Year award. So I was kind of busy.
You already had stuff going on.
Yeah,
You already had
stuff
stuff
And
going
in
on.
your mind, you're like, I think I tried and it didn't work.
Yeah, and also we were all kind of expecting a November election. I
Oh,
don't know,
yeah,
nobody.
yeah.
So I thought, we've got ages, right? Like we'll deal.
Yeah, exactly. You
Let's
just
come
deal
back
with
to it.
Yeah.
And then obviously Rishi announced the election.
Yep.
And then a week later, I got the phone call from central office, from Westminster, saying that, do you want to stand for Leicester East? And they said, you're top of the list, but there's 14 people after you.
Yeah.
So if you say no,
So you got first dibs, basically.
yeah, I got first. I had I had a split second,
Okay.
and I knew if I said no, then they'll
You'd
just
go
call the
straight.
next person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
call
yeah.
the next person and say, hey,
And I just thought, do you know what? Like one of the reasons that actually got me involved in politics was I just think Leicester was desperate for a local voice. And I'm just sick of this, parachuting people in from Leicester, like someone who's in London.
All right, so what I'm going to say, if you say it, you're going to seem big-headed, but you're young, you're energetic, you match, like, for example, me, you've got parents from Africa and India, right?
Yeah,
So that's me, him. So I think
Definitely.
in that area, especially Leicester East, a lot of your constituents can relate to you.
Yeah.
And plus, because you're young and energetic, I think it puts you in a better position than maybe someone else.
We've got lots of work to do in the city, right? And we need someone with energy.
Yeah, you know what?
Honestly, if there was someone, if my dad was like, if there was a 60-year-old man that was standing and it was my dad, I would say, no, like, just relax now. You don't need to do this work.
And we do see you active as well. You're active. My mom even said, like, she works at Indica. She always said mention Ricky. And, like, she was just like, oh, God, she's such a nice person. This, that, the other. So,
even Gypsy Lane Chippy, we went to see her.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
He's crazy, isn't he? I do need to go back there, actually.
But we spoke about you there as well. We mentioned that you're coming and say, oh, yeah, she's great. You lot are going to love it.
So big respect.
No, thank you. But I just think I was actually low-key offended. The fact that we can't, in Leicester, there's not one person that's homegrown that can be the voice of Leicester, to the point that we're having to look like outside. Like that's embarrassing to us, right?
Yeah.
That's disrespectful. So I said to them, and I was always very clear to my husband as well, I'm only interested in Leicester East. I didn't care about any of the Leicester seats. Or there are some, don't forget, we had like probably 150 Conservative MPs standing down before the election. So there were, other safe seats that I could have easily gone for, where I don't, hand deliver 3 leaflets and job done. But, for me, the amount of investment and energy that I'm putting into this.
And you've got to be passionate about it as well.
Yeah, it's literally my heart and soul, and it has to mean something to me, right? And this is personal to me because this is my home.
Yes, your home. You know what I mean?
So what are your top priorities for Leicester, and how do you address them in Parliament?
So there's a couple of things that I picked up. Yeah. But of course, as a newly elected member, we're still kind of listening. And
you're on a learning curve.
We're still on that learning curve. But some of the obvious kind of things that that just literally stand out is, the first one is support for small businesses.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, I don't know if you guys know, but Leicester is one of the UK's most entrepreneurial cities.
No, really?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we didn't get that title from the government. We got it from you guys, right? People like you that are, finding ways to hustle and make a living. And as a small business owner myself, I know how difficult it was for me to actually access information and to cut through some of that red tape. So I thought, well, if I'm finding this difficult, then everyone, surely this is a common problem. And the government has so much support and grants and schemes, and everything's available there.
It's just getting to it.
How do we get to it, right? And once, let's say, like, even if you get to it, like, how do you make sense of it? And that's where I think an MP or someone like me can actually really help. So that's one of the priorities.
You know what? Again, I'm just sorry. I'm going to stop you there.
Sure.
Literally in Amsterdam, we met. Remember that guy that we met in Cookies downstairs?
Yes. Yeah.
He's actually moved from London, but he's moved to Leicester. He said obviously Leicester's a bit slower than London, but he wants to start like either a business or a charity where he helps younger people. And he didn't know how to maneuver the system as well. He said, I don't know where to go.
And he was young, and he was literally, what, 18 years old?
No, he's 21. He's
21, that's it, 21.
So we've told him, when you get back to Leicester, after your holiday, contact us, and whatever we can do to help, we'll help you.
Yeah, and if there's anything I can do to help as well. Because honestly, like, we think we live in a country where there is just so much information. Literally everything is at our doorstep with the internet as well. But for some reason, we just can't access it. We can't break through that door. So my office and I were looking to set up lots of business forums and employment forums where we speak to employers, small to medium-sized employers, understand what their challenges are, speak to entrepreneurs and business owners, see what their challenges are, and try and kind of link everything together. And at the same time, in Parliament, we've got various, like I said, the government has various support schemes available. Yeah. So it's kind of notifying business owners that, did you know you can do this? You can do this. Yeah, and even locally to us, Leicester City Council also has, small business rates relief and stuff like that, which people just don't know about. So it's about kind of working with the local authority here in Leicester as well.
Do you know how you said about the small business rates relief? Do you think that, obviously, I don't know how to put it, but do you think the government should advertise it more, or they should tell people that this is available when they open a new business?
They can, but it's also like how much can the government do, right?
Yeah.
Like they already publish everything on and everything is there. I mean, do we want to start seeing TV adverts of government stuff?
I think it's up to you to go and look on the Gov website as well, to be fair. I think a lot of people don't look on the website and they rely on information that may be false information that people don't actually look at.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, oh, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And, you know, people just start looking at it.
And I think, you know, that we've got the council office as well. I'm sure, you know, you can just go in there and you can book an appointment. Every single area in the country will have counsellors.
Yeah.
So it's about, and honestly, growing up, I didn't even know who my counsellors were.
I
don't think we do.
So obviously, I agree with you what you're saying. There are counsellors, but growing up, we didn't know who they are. So it's like psychologically, you think, you know what? I didn't even know. Is there any point of me contacting them?
And I think, you're right. You're right. But they're the people that can actually help us.
Yeah.
And you know, if for example, if there is a pothole, you know, it's a counsellor's job, not job, but you know, everyone's elected, and everyone elected has their own remit of responsibilities. So that's where a counsellor can really help. But we've not really utilised counsellors as well as we should have. And that's not good for them, and it's not really good for us as well.
And what do you think the biggest challenges facing Leicester right now?
So for me, I think long term, I just think Leicester really needs an injection of fresh energy. At the moment, like everyone I went to school with, and I don't know if you can relate, pretty much 9 out of 10 of us have had to leave Leicester in order to find an opportunity. Like, I didn't want to move to London. You know, I didn't want to leave my community, and my friends, they don't want to, you know, leave Leicester and raise their kids away from their grandparents. But when it comes to finding a job that's going to get you ahead in life or get you on that ladder, they just couldn't find it in Leicester.
No, that's right.
And it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. So in the long term, I would love to bring in some major investment and really make Leicester an appealing place for employees who are seeking talent. We've got 2 major universities here. I mean, don't quote me on numbers, but I'm guessing like 50,000 graduates every single year.
That's
probably not every year, maybe like 20,000 every year. But where are those kids going? Like they're just gonna, because there's no jobs for them here. So unfortunately,
they get all the education from Leicester and then they move out the city.
take it elsewhere. But imagine if we can actually retain all of that talent and actually give them an opportunity to stay here, you know, strategically as well. You know, Leicester is we're literally the heart of England.
It is. That's on the back of our hoodies.
Oh, is
literally,
it?
Yeah, we've got a map of Leicester on the back.
So we're literally the heart of England. So we're so conveniently located to all of the major cities. And economically as well, like Leicester's actually not super expensive to live in compared to London.
It's a great place. I love Leicester. I just
I love Leicester. And
I hate what's happening to it recently.
It's just been neglected. I just think it just needs like some proper TLC. We need a bit of attention nationally as well, because Leicester's always been this place that's
we're the most multicultural, right?
Yeah, we are. Well, we are actually the most multicultural. There are other cities now which are contending.
They're catching up. Yeah, they are catching up.
But
they're catching up.
I always said we used to be the culture capital of Europe. We used to have that title. And I just think Leicester is just a sick place. Like everyone just comes here, they feel at home.
I love it. I can't leave it.
Yeah, I know. I can't leave it.
My missus always tells me, let's move to Southampton.
Yeah, I know.
And I had to lie to her and say, we'll move. Yeah, she's gonna slap me for when she watches this. But I can't leave Leicester. This is where my heart is.
Same. I know exactly what you're saying.
And even with this podcast, you asked me before why did you start? I started it to help a local business and my friend, but then now I feel like we give flowers and light to people who deserve it, who haven't been given it, like yourself.
100%. Anyone that has a voice or starting up a business, we just want to show Leicester its flowers.
Yeah, and I do think Leicester is also having a bit of a generational shift. I think we've got the next generation kind of emerging and coming up. So anything that we can do to kind of connect us all up and really support each other is only going to add to Leicester's benefit in the long run.
And even being active on social media before you, I didn't see any politicians on social media.
No, literally none. I don't think we follow any politicians on social media apart from Dev. Dev's a great politician, and Shivani.
No, social media is a great tool.
It's a powerful tool.
And I grew up with it, right? Like, you know, we've had Instagram probably before I should have had Instagram. So we've grown up with it. So it kind of comes a bit second nature, and it's a bit more natural to me than someone in their 60s or something.
Do you feel that works better for you in politics when you're able to connect with so many so many followers, because you're similar age group, like you can connect with all? Do you think that gives you an advantage?
I think absolutely, but more than like a personal advantage for me, I think it's a huge privilege.
Yeah,
in order
absolutely.
to be able to connect with people in their 20s and even younger. I've got 16-year-olds that sometimes say, oh, like, we'd love to do a bit of work experience with you. And I just think that that's great that I'm in a position that I'm able to inspire them and also get them to engage a little bit in politics. Because growing up, yes, I wasn't like, mad about politics. I didn't study politics or anything. But growing up, my dad always taught me that politics is really important. Even like the milk that you put in your tea every single morning is to do with politics.
Yeah, everything is to do with politics.
Everything is to do with politics.
Every decision you make.
When last year, when I was speaking to friends and stuff, we were talking about the election coming up, and they don't even vote, and these are like people in their 30s who are running successful businesses, highly intelligent
who are
people.
the voice of the streets, the voice of
and
the...
if
they're the voice of the older generation and the younger generation, and they're still not.
And if they're so
not making a difference,
disenfranchised, then what is that telling me about the rest of society who are maybe not as, are not in that position? So, and that really worries me, because whatever is discussed down in Westminster today is going to affect our generation the most.
Do you know, you were talking to your friends who do own businesses and they said they didn't vote. What was the reason they weren't voting?
They weren't engaged.
Yeah, like they didn't know what were they voting for.
Yeah, but also, how can they expect to connect someone? How can you expect to relate to someone who's like just in a completely different
realm
life
to
chapter?
you? Yeah,
we
just can't.
Yeah, I mean, before me, obviously we had Claudia Webb. For a term. But before that, we grew up in Vazland. Like, so how can you expect anyone to relate to Keith Vaz?
It's so true though, it's so true.
I mean, you're in my constituency. You grew up in the same kind of era as me. So
no, Vazland, oh wow.
You can't really relate to that,
You
right?
can't.
And so you can't even blame these people for not being
engaged. Yeah.
But it's so important that they are, because the more voices that we have, it helps me to actually have a louder voice and a prouder voice for Leicester. But it gets people thinking, and that's when real change gets delivered. Because I can be on my own, like shouting from the
rooftops.
But if I've got like people behind me and I've got real support and real passion, that's when actual change will be delivered.
It's fresh to see someone like yourself actually representing Leicester.
Yeah, and
I think, fresh to see that.
Yeah, and I think even when I was out campaigning, knocking on doors, I think that's probably what made me like win my seat, with the fact that I was just, this fresh face, no political baggage, and the fact that I was from Leicester, which is silly, but it's such a novelty to have someone from Leicester.
How did you find campaigning? Obviously, it must be a new experience for you, isn't it? Because
it was insane. Because, like I said, I got the phone call. And it was a week after the election was announced. So I had 35 days until polling day.
No.
I've never ran a campaign. I hate being the center of attention.
And your pictures everywhere.
How did you manage with that? Like, with the cameras and everything, the photos?
Well, I hate public speaking as well. Like, if I couldn't even speak in front of my friends and family. Like, it was...
At parties and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just hate that. But, when you're in that situation... where it's literally like fight or flight.
You step up and
that's it.
Yeah, it's literally sink or swim.
100%.
You've got no choice, because all of a sudden, like within the space of 5-10 minutes, you've got people kind of at your doorstep saying, okay, let me help, let me do this. And honestly, like seeing the selflessness of the volunteers that I had during my campaign, that was actually my driving force. I didn't even want to win for me. I wanted to win for them because every day, like, they would go to work, they would come back, and at 5:30 we'd be out knocking on doors.
Yeah, I seen that because I was in the area, and that's the time I come home.
Yeah,
I've seen you like a couple of times.
That is actually crazy.
And we knocked on probably every single door in Leicester East in 35 days, 20,000 doors. It was just insane, and I don't know how I did it, to be honest. I just think there's a force that just comes over you, and you just have to do it. You just
literally
have to
just
do it.
pushed on, right? And that
You
was
just
it.
have to do it when you're kind of backed into that corner like that. And I was just so determined that I'm not here to waste anyone's time. And if I don't win, like I won't feel bad. I'll just feel bad for the people that have actually sacrificed so much of their time to support me. And that still motivates me every day.
And also with obviously running your campaign, how important was it to have such a strong team behind you?
So my team actually there was three. It was me, my husband, and a family friend.
Oh wow, okay.
That's how we,
wow.
that's how we started.
Okay, fair.
And by the end of the 35 days on polling day, we had 200 people.
Oh, sick.
And it just grew organically.
Was it like a snowball effect? Like one day someone would come, then they'll tell their friends, "Oh, let's go and
It becomes
help."
like a family at the end of it, right?
Yeah. And I still talk to all of my volunteers all the time. We've got a group chat going on. So they're all really kind of still they're all
See,
kind of
that's
still
another
connected.
thing. You just mentioned it like it's normal. We've got group chat, but I didn't see any of the volunteers in the group chat with the volunteers.
Exactly.
So it's great, it's we've just kind of built this really nice community. And for me, for someone to see that much conviction and like belief in me, honestly, I don't think I've ever had that before. Like,
Kind of lights a fire, right?
Yeah. And I think that's just what kept me going. I think that's what still keeps me going.
That's cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
So safety in our community or in the whole of Leicester, really, safety is becoming a bigger concern. How are you and the party addressing that?
Yeah, so Safer Streets is actually one of my other key pledges for Leicester. So we've got a police and crime commissioner in Leicester and Leicestershire, Rupert Matthews. He's also conservative, so that helps because I have a really good kind of working relationship with him. Now in Leicester, we've kind of the crime in Leicester has actually gone down under Rupert. So some of the measures he's been putting in place and working with the local police has actually worked. And again, I kind of visit at the moment, Leicester Police have beat surgeries.
Yeah.
So I visit them and I speak to them and we kind of work on issues together. There are some campaign ideas that me and my office are working on in the long run. But essentially, it was really important for me, 6 months into this role, to understand what are the major areas of crime.
Yeah.
And in Leicester East, one of the biggest areas of crime where the police are currently facing and challenging is domestic violence, especially within the South Asian community.
Yeah.
And as you know, this is quite taboo in our community.
Yeah,
as well.
I was going to say that. They don't speak about it.
But it's growing and it's becoming quite scary when you look at the numbers.
I think what is as well, like we keep talking about accessibility, and I think the people who it is affecting. Like back in the day, they didn't know where to go. Thinking domestic abuse.
In all kind of with credit where credit's due, the Leicester Police have got really efficient and they've got really good safeguarding places. I'm not going to share too much on that because it will defeat the purpose of it. But they are doing really good work on kind of supporting women and trying to create safe places across the city for them. We've got amazing charities in Leicester as well. That support women, especially from the South Asian community. So that's something that me and my office, we are kind of closely working with the local authorities on, and we're hoping to do a campaign around it in the next couple of months to really kind of raise awareness and break that stigma that's attached to it. But it's hard,
Yeah, it's definitely hard because it's obviously going on behind closed doors. There's not much. It's up to that person to report it.
Yeah.
It's such a very difficult one.
It's a difficult one. I mean, we've all seen those carjacking videos from Hamilton, right?
No.
So we're working with the local police to try and see if we can. We've increased nighttime patrol there already, but it's just kind of with the police. We just have to kind of it's a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
I'm always
You
in
have to
touch
just work
with
them, innit?
Yeah. But I don't know. Do you think there's any other? Like, what do you feel are the major...
No, so I was going to ask you if you actually knew what the major crime was, but it's domestic abuse. It's really hard to deal with that one.
For me,
like you said, it's up to the person. And it's not even just up to the person, it's up to the people around them maybe to notice and report and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not like other crimes where, like, we've got... Where it's like drugs trafficking or something where you can just easily follow a chain.
You can easily follow a chain.
And plus we've got... I know it's really, with domestic violence, it's hard anyway. But then on top of that, we've got all of the kind of community and the cultural
stigmas
around it as well. So it makes it even more difficult.
I don't think it also is, I don't think there's a lot of trust in the police at the minute, if I'm going to be completely honest as well, which is a bit scary as well.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about someone being in a domestic abuse situation and they're not.
And I think that's probably a nationwide issue. That's a
Yeah.
national
Yeah,
issue.
100%.
Leicester, I mean, in other news, Leicester is looking for a new chief constable.
Oh, wow.
Because our dear friend Rob Nixon, I think after 20 or 30 years of service, he's decided to retire. So
We need another fresh face in there.
another
You go.
fresh face, yeah. And I think maybe, hopefully we can find someone that can, or hopefully, they recruit someone who can come on with some good ideas, someone who kind of understands the cultural demographics. And who knows, hopefully they kind of establish a new relationship. Because I also think people didn't trust politicians before, but I'm kind of seeing a bit of a change. I'm seeing people kind of approach me a lot more casually than.
But do you think that's because of you? If somebody else was in your seat right now, do you think it would be different? Maybe.
I think if there was another local person in my seat, I think it would be
Similar.
the same.
Yeah.
But I think if I was someone that just came from London or
just
Manchester or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
then it's like, because how can you connect to someone, right?
Exactly.
Right now, it's like, even if I go to Sainsbury's to do my shop, like I'll speak to 5-6 people.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So, but that's the difference it makes being really integrated in the community.
I mean, healthcare and education are such a huge priority.
Healthcare,
times.
actually. So healthcare, if we look nationally,
Yeah.
Leicester ranks fairly well. But I know there is still a problem because I still have to call at 8 a.m. in the morning and I'm 35 in the queue. So clearly there's still work that needs to be done. So we're working with, I'm working with the University Hospitals Leicester to try and tackle that. The last Conservative government did promise funding for two of the hospitals that we have to kind of be renovated, which is the LRI and the General Hospital.
Yeah, they need it. They do need it.
Yeah, so
They
the
do need a
funding,
bit of a
it was kind of
renovation.
guaranteed under the last Conservative government. This government put it on hold, and me and some of the other Leicestershire MPs have kind of been campaigning. So just this week, we've had confirmation that we will get the funding, but I believe it's like in 2030. So it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
It's
Because
bittersweet.
even dentists. Yeah, I don't know. Are you signed up to dentists?
Yes, I am.
I am. Well, I was, and I missed one appointment by mistake. And then to get back, now they're saying that we're not taking. There's not enough funding at all. There's no funding.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah,
I
but
think our dentist got taken over. It's on private now.
Yeah, I did get an email actually just a couple of days ago that there's a couple of dentists in Leicester East that are taking NHS.
Okay, let me know after this because
Yeah,
if you tell them, they're all going to go there.
No, they've got loads of spaces. So I'm happy, if anybody wants to know, if they can just drop me an email, I'm happy to share the details with them as well.
Okay, so I've got to go back to the accessibility, and this one is about accessing you. So if I got any concerns or issues I want to raise, how do I get in touch with you?
What is it easy?
There are multiple ways. The most efficient way is probably to go on my website.
Okay.
And then there's a contact form.
Yeah.
And that's the most efficient way. Or, the other way is you can just message me on Instagram or something or tweet me. I manage all my own socials.
That's cool.
I love that.
Even Facebook. So I see everything. So you can just send me a DM or something. But also you can just send me an email directly on my parliamentary email address. And we pick up everything within 24 hours.
No, perfect.
Yeah, and I've got a really great team that support all of the casework that I receive as well.
Right now, so what is your inbox full of? What's the most concerns people have in Leicester?
So recently we've had a lot of cases regarding flooding.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because of the floods a couple of weeks ago. So we're just trying to kind of help them as much as possible. Again, as an MP, I have limited power over. It kind of flooding kind of sits with the local authorities.
Mother Nature.
Yeah, but it's also Leicester East has got several brooks.
Okay,
ours wasn't open. I live in Syston.
Yeah, okay.
So near the gate hangs well. They didn't open the brook apparently.
Yeah, but so people have told me that, and I this is something I'm also checking with the council because I heard some neighbours come to me saying, "Oh, they didn't open the floodgates," but I'm thinking is that true? Is that
Yeah,
a
because
rumor?
he's got a video where you lot are driving through
It was
the
so bad. The rain wasn't even that bad. It was worse when it happened a couple of months back. It was worse then.
Yeah.
But my friend's got a business there, Man-Made Barbers, and shout out man made brothers, and basically his whole because they live near a brook.
Yeah, it was like
everything was flooded. Like the car park looked like a swimming pool. It was so bad.
There was like ducks at Saw Valley. I don't know if you know Saw Valley.
Yeah. Glen Eagles. The whole of Glen Eagles was
there was like ducks
flooded.
swimming in there.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I'm checking this with the council as well because I'm not sure. Like, and then who's supposed to open the flood? I can't imagine. I wouldn't want. I don't think it's safe for residents to like jump in a brook and open a floodgate. I don't know. It seems a bit.
You need to check if
dodgy
someone's
to me.
been applied that job.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just a rumor flying around, but I will. We are checking. So I will let you know.
I'll let Satch know as well.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is: how do you approach working with diverse communities in Leicester to ensure inclusivity in policy making?
So I think this kind of comes back to what I was saying that because like, growing up in Leicester, we don't know anything other than an inclusive community, right?
And Leicester is very small. Everyone knows everybody.
Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, we're like a big family here, and it's one of my favorite things about Leicester. But I think in terms of when it comes to making decisions, it comes very naturally to us to think about the people we are around, and the people that we are around are really diverse. Anyway, like everyone, we just think, like, for example, if there's a debate in Parliament talking about schools, for example, then I kind of think back to like my school days and my classroom and how would that bill affect my classroom and stuff like that. And our classrooms are always very diverse anyway. So I think that comes quite easily to me because I live here and I'm integrated within the different communities.
And obviously the school hasn't changed much since you've been there because it's not been that long.
I mean, they did renovate as I was leaving.
Saw Valley.
Saw Valley.
Yeah.
It's probably been about.
It's been a few years, isn't it?
It's been a few years.
Can you share any recent examples of community input that helped shape your actions or priorities as an MP?
Yeah, so quite a few actually. Something that we had recently. So obviously Leicester. I don't know if you know. I was quite surprised, but we have in Leicester East. There's over 1,000 students that attend independent schools.
Oh.
Yeah, which is quite a high number.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
over 10,000.
No,
Are they like
over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
Are they like
10,000?
religious schools?
Yeah,
Did I say 10,000? Okay.
I was supposed to say 10,000, then you
No,
got me
it's
second guessing.
So what does that mean? Like religious schools and stuff like that?
Yeah, religious
wow.
schools, private schools, independent
Oh,
schools.
yeah.
And these are not like, Leicester, we don't have Eatons here, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
these
yeah.
are
No, we don't.
literally like community-run schools. So we had a constituent reach out to me saying that, unfortunately, because of the introduction of VAT on private schools, they're going to have to take their daughter out like mid-term because they just couldn't afford it. They then went to Leicester City Council and the schools within her catchment area were all oversubscribed anyway.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, now what do I do?
No
right?
choice,
like,
basically.
So I did raise that in Parliament because my very first PMQ was that, I can't remember it word for word, but it was like, what are we going, the government introduced this bill, but there was no impact assessment. So we have no idea how many students this is going to affect, how many spaces we have in state schools that can actually accommodate, what extra resources our state schools are going to need, and how many more teachers, what are we going to do about classroom sizes, do we need bigger classrooms, how much building work do we need to do to existing schools? Like, no research was done when this bill was introduced. So that was my first ever PMQ actually. What are we going to do with all of these effects? Like with all of these students that are now in this position where, they can't afford the private school anymore.
And there's no space for them.
There's no space for them here. So so now what? She's going to have to travel an hour to drop her daughter to school every day,
Or quit a job, or quit a job and
or
teach.
quit her job. So it was a very messy bill that the government introduced, and it's not gone down well. But that I raised in Parliament, and I mean, didn't change anything. But it is.
But you raised it.
I raised it, and hopefully it gets people talking about it, it gets people thinking, and
It's like that snowball effect again, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it starts
and
happening.
also it just makes people understand and think that this is actually affecting real people. Like we're not just opposing.
stat.
Yeah, we're not just opposing. These are real life people. These are people that live in our communities that are now going to have to make sacrifices.
And what are,
just for an education.
and also, what are some of your values, your personal values that help guide you as an MP?
Good question. I always find this is such a personal question, isn't it? And I don't really talk about it that much. But I think one of my biggest driving forces is probably my faith.
Yeah.
I think growing up, we're always kind of taught about the principles of seva, which is selfless service. It's about leading with integrity, being honest, and righteousness, which is doing the right thing. And honestly, that's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. And I just think being in this position now where I can actually help people and bring about positive change is a huge, huge privilege. And sometimes, I don't even have to, the people of Leicester, they don't expect much. They don't expect you to bring them the stars and the moon. They just want to be heard. Like, they've just, sometimes it's just answering the call. And if a constituent's upset about something, it's just about listening to them.
Making them feel comfortable.
Just making them feel like reassured that, don't worry, we'll do this together. Or I hear you. I hear you. I'm so sorry, but, I can't do anything about it, but I hear you. And I just think I think in Leicester, we've not really had that where, I just want to make sure every voice is heard in Leicester. And that, and it's I think those values that I've had instilled in me, my upbringing, through faith, through various other things. I think that's really important.
Coming into your position in that job, did it change obviously you just got recently married, like when you came to job, did it change your life a lot?
Massively. Massively. So, again, I'm going to be totally transparent with you guys. I didn't really know or understand the nitty-gritty of what an MP actually does, or what the role of an MP is.
So do you want to share that? What you actually do?
Do you think everyone else does, or do you think look like...
I think people...
people make a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, people make a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
So the role of an MP is actually twofold. Half of the role of an MP is to assist with parliamentary passage. So we are essentially legislatures. So there'll be something discussed in Parliament, and then it goes down to a committee or whatever, and then, we're assessing the bill, we're writing it out, and it's that kind of not boring stuff, like really important stuff, but not the stuff that people see. Yeah. And on the other hand, it's to support the constituents with various issues that they're facing that doesn't really sit with the local authority, but something, and also kind of noticing trends and understanding the city so that we can make national changes for the betterment of the entire city rather than just one individual. So that's kind of the twofold. I also didn't know that, this is probably my naivety, but I didn't realize I'd be back in London 4 days a week. Because I did everything I could to leave London. So to be back there is a little bit bittersweet.
Also, do you prefer London or do you prefer Leicester?
Oh, Leicester.
Leicester all day, love that.
We should have known that.
Leicester all this time. But being in the Parliament building, that kind of makes up for the fact, that kind of makes up for the whole kind of London slog. Because sometimes I walk into the chamber and I just think, I'm literally one of 650 people that get to sit in here.
And you're the youngest Conservative.
Yeah, I'm the youngest Conservative. And we were the only gain in the country as well.
Oh, sick. That is good, man.
That is crazy.
So I think all of those things combined have actually put Leicester on the map, nationally, in government as well. Suddenly, as soon as I won, it was all eyes on Leicester. And we've not had that. But it's a great position to be in.
100%, 100%.
It's a great position to be in to bring about change,
Since last year, or since you've took the seat, what has been your biggest challenge that you faced so far?
It's probably having to live between two cities, and it's a personal challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's.
Is it long days as well?
Yeah, it's really all my family is in Leicester. My in-laws are in Leicester. My parents are in Leicester. All my cousins are in Leicester. Friends are in Leicester. So to suddenly kind of have to live out of a suitcase for half of the week is a little bit. It's quite an adjustment. Voting in Parliament happens at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So it's really long days. Was
that something that you expected?
I didn't know about it at all. I I didn't know that it was.
crazy. I didn't
And it's not one of them ones that you can quit after a couple of weeks. I tried it. I don't like it
Yeah, I'm
anymore.
adding in my notice now. Yeah, sorry, I can't do this.
No, the positives definitely outweigh all of the cons, but all of the day-to-day activities of an MP, like you don't know about it until you've
When it's done,
yeah, and especially in my case, because I had no time to do any research. I got the phone call and I had 30 days to campaign. And in that month, the focus wasn't, let me just research this and it was just every day you wake up, go.
Okay, this is a question that's not on here. How do you measure your success? So for me, success is getting that phone call, you're on, you got 35 days. Then your next success was, okay, you won. Then your next success, what is success to you?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this actually.
That's a good question.
And I think for me, I mean, we celebrate all the small wins in our office.
Yeah.
This month we've helped over 2,500 people in Leicester East, and I think that's a fantastic achievement.
So that's success. For me, that's success.
Yeah, and so we celebrate all those small wins. But in terms of like macro success, for me, I would love to see some major investment in Leicester East. If I'm able to convince private investors and also government investment that your money is worthwhile in Leicester East, then to me that would be like, okay, good job. And I think having something that's going to outlive me, that would be what I guess I'm next working towards.
Okay. That's a very good answer to the question.
Very good answer. And also, where do you see Leicester in the next 5 years?
So I see Leicester like on par with. I don't want to say a mini London because I think we're way better than London anyway.
Oh yeah.
But I would just like to see Leicester with like new buildings, fresh roads, with lots of kind of our local economy being super strong, and just people out there. I want to see high streets thriving. I want to see loads of kind of startups emerging. Lots of people. I want to see lots of young people in the city. And that's where I want to see Leicester as a real kind of cosmopolitan metropolis.
For me, and I know this is going to be different for everybody, but personally, for me, a lot of my friends, they don't work in big companies. A lot of them have their own businesses.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's where we're heading, but...
And Thomas, I'm a big advocate for working for yourself and, free enterprise. But I think but we need to create an environment that's going to want people to invest in Leicester, set up their business here.
I want to see the Haymarket up and about in Leicester again. You know that? Like, I want to see one of that. That all used to be thriving, little bit there.
There's
But you know how
we
we keep talking about like this local family community that we've got. So even if, say, for example, I open a business and you've always been thinking about it, then once I've gone through the procedure, I've got the funding, I've then I can help you. You don't need to go through...
Yeah, 100%.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
but
a business
I also
mentoring
think
system.
we need to... that's one part of the challenge, but I think the other is we need to make Leicester an attractive destination.
Yeah,
right?
we do.
We want people to come into Leicester, look around and be like, okay, this is a sick place. Like, this is where I want to...
I can do something.
I can do something. Because right now people drive into Leicester and
it's depressing.
it's not the most...
No, it's not. It's not what it used to be like. It's not what it used to be like,
So I think over the next 5-10 years, I'd love to kind of just give it a bit of... Leicester just needs an injection of like fresh energy, and it's the next generation that I think are going to do that.
Okay, this is my last question. It is to do with the next generation. What advice would you give to somebody who's young and wants to get into politics or wants to make a change, not even get into politics in general?
I would say just engage fearlessly. Don't be scared to get involved. And I know like sometimes, because I've been there, you think like, how do I even get involved? You just feel like it's a different...
It's daunting,
well,
isn't it?
It's daunting, and you just feel like, how do I even get there? But I'll tell you right now, all you have to do, in my case, is go on my website, send me an email, and that's it.
And we'll go.
And that's it. Then you'll be connected to me, and all the opportunities that we have, all the campaigns we run in the office, you can get involved in. And slowly, like by doing that, you kind of build your own network around you. You learn new skills. And you get to actually do something that you believe in, that you're passionate about, which, we don't really, not many people get that opportunity to actually drive something that they truly believe in. Most of us just wake up, go to work.
Yeah, just live in it.
That's it.
You don't live, you just live.
Yeah, just live in it.
But
That's
to
it.
have something like a little pet project that you're really passionate about, there's some ladies in Belgrave, and they are super passionate, and I love them about their flower beds. Yeah, and they'll literally email me like once a week, giving me updates. She'll WhatsApp me photos, and she's just so passionate about it. And we're going to do a campaign with them in the next summer. So it's just like to kind of awaken that fire that's within all of us. And I'll say uphold your integrity and just have your 100%. Voice heard for good.
Yep.
We've all got a voice, and all you have to do is just use it. And it's really not out of your reach as you think it is.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Well, thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much for coming.
Really I've learned a lot on this episode again.
Yeah, I know, same.
Which is great. Make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe, and big up Leicester Podcast Studio every time for having us.
Thank you.
And big up Sophie as well.
Yeah, Sophie.
Thank you.